General recommendations for children. These recommendations are for children under the age of 12 years old. If you have a child that's under 12 years old, pay attention. This is for you. If you have a cranky child that isn't just independent, but is just cranky, these recommendations will help a lot. Otherwise, if you want to make sure your kid doesn't ever catch a cold or get cavities in their teeth, these recommendations are very beneficial for that as well. First off, drink a lot of distilled water in between meals. Kids need water too. They don't need juice or milk, they need water. Distilled water is a high energy water, so it will detoxify their body and moisturize it better than regular tap water. It is also clean. No salt shaker on the table and use it very lightly in cooking. Salt is bad for adults and it's just as bad and even worse for children because children have a smaller body. They can't fit as much salt in their bodies as an adult can. So if you keep salt out of their diet, they won't have the need for the flavor when they're older. And you'll set them up for a better adulthood, less chance of heart attack and coronary artery disease and salting out, blood agglutination, all kinds of problems are caused by too much salt in the system. Feed them plenty of vegetables with a lot of variety. Steamed is perfect. Fresh is even better once they're old enough to be able to chew fresh vegetables. If you're feeding a baby, do not put any salt in their food. No salt, no sugar. They don't know what it tastes like. They won't miss it. Use a vegetable protein meat substitute, homemade or commercial, every other day, at least twice a week. Avoid all white potato products in the diet as they upset the blood sugar balance. No fish or meat juices. That means meat broth, the powdered kind or the liquid kind, until they're 12 years old. Their digestive juices aren't strong enough to digest the molecules small enough to be able to fit into the bloodstream. So it clogs up their colon and makes them very cranky. I know a couple of children that only eat meat once in a while, and every time they're fed some meat, they cry the whole next day. So if your kids are cranky, try keeping them off meat for a little while and feed them some, see what happens, and you'll be surprised, I'm sure. And then nuts and nut butters, no peanut butter or almond butter, no nuts or nut butters until the age of 8, unless they are soft, boiled, or steamed before giving them to the child. Nut butters are the same as meat. The molecules are too large for their systems to absorb, and so it just clogs them up and makes them cranky and constipated. Eggs can be used about 2 times a week, 1 egg twice a week. They don't want too much protein in their diet. Too much protein is very hard on a child's heart. Evening meal should be before 6 p.m. so that the kids can expend some energy before bedtime. Buckwheat pancakes or whole grain waffles are good once a week for breakfast. 1 slice of toast per day for breakfast, except on pancake days. Don't want too many grains in their diet because too many grains means there's not enough other things going into their diet. About twice a week, have a breakfast type meat substitute with a scrambled egg for breakfast. At breakfast, eat your citrus fruits first before other foods. Eat your banana or pear last. Try to have a fresh pear as often as possible. As Dr. Ream says, a pear a day keeps the colonic away. Pears help keep the colon clean. Cream of wheat, millet, shredded wheat, grits, rye, buckwheat, oatmeal, cracked wheat, etc., and some dry cereals like corn, Chex, cornflakes, or Cheerios. I can't think of the word. The oat cereals, rice cereals, the plain ones without the sugar. Use quite a variety. You can have a different breakfast every day for 2 weeks easily. Eat a different fruit each day. You want to try to get in 1 fruit for every day of the month. So 30 to 31, except in February, fruits in that month, and jams, jellies, fresh, frozen, any preparation method counts as that fruit because the minerals are still in there. But if it is a jam or a jelly, make sure you watch the sugar content. 4 grams of carbohydrate is 1 teaspoon of sugar equivalent. Don't eat watermelon late in the day, especially for children that are bedwetters. Use raisins soaked for 2 days in cold water for breakfast about 2 to 3 times a week. This gets them their iron content. All other dry foods, all dried fruits should be rehydrated before being eaten because the sugar concentration is lessened when they're rehydrated. When a fruit is dehydrated, it is concentrated carbohydrates. Use a vegetable type of spaghetti, such as spinach, artichoke, with vegetable protein and tomato sauce as a spaghetti, rather than using the grain type. Plenty of radishes and fresh tomatoes every day if possible. There's a lot of kids that love radishes, and radishes are actually extra good for children. They should eat a raw salad every day. Eating a raw salad, raw leafy salad before lunch and dinner helps to prepare their digestion for the food it's about to go through the colon and large intestine, small intestine, the whole intestinal system. The salad prepares it for that food, and so it can go through and come out the other end better. Keep them from being constipated. Have asparagus about once a week, even a couple tablespoons, one spear even. Asparagus helps to keep the heart rhythm balanced. Pickles without vinegar may be used occasionally as a special treat with meals only. It's hard on their digestion to have pickles without the whole meal. Have 4 to 6 ounces of prune juice diluted with hot distilled water at evening meal 2 to 3 times a week to make sure they stay unconstipated and to keep their iron content up. Yogurt after the noon meal for dessert 2 to 3 times per week, or use it as an after-school snack. It is great to keep their intestinal flora built up. Limit the sweets at the evening meal, or at most to a healthful type of cookie or dessert with very low sugar content. Occasionally have homemade ice cream after the evening meal. Boston baked beans are excellent. So are green beans, lima beans, and black-eyed peas. Don't forget the legumes and beans, even if you have to mix them in and hide them somehow. Spaghetti sauce is a great place to hide a lot of different foods. Corn on the cob, in season or frozen, may be used 2 to 3 times a week at the noon or evening meal. Corn on the cob also helps to keep them from getting constipated. Fresh homemade cornbread every day for the noon meal is excellent. Cornbread is made from dried corn, which has a different calcium than fresh corn. So having the cornbread gets that kind of calcium into their diet. Brown rice may be used often. Vary the diet by serving various legumes. Use as little salt as is reasonable. Of course, we already mentioned that. But learn to make foods tasty with various herbs. A little blackstrap molasses, honey, allspice, dark Caro. Not all at the same time, of course. Use a little bit of creativity when you try to make foods taste good. Use avocado, spinach, celery, turnips, carrots, a wide variety. And if they don't like to eat it, you might be able to make a juice out of it and get them to drink it down. Carrot juice and green drink should be included in the food planning at least once a week, if possible. Cornstarch, rice polishings, barley, eggplant, or arrowroot flour may be added to soups as needed to make them creamy. Some kids like creamy soups better than liquid ones. Girls, in addition to the above, because girls need 7 times more calcium in their diet than the boys do. Luckily, girls can get calcium out of food better than boys can. So they don't have to eat more, they just need more. Calcium gluconate in powdered form is mild, good, and should be used as a supplement, especially if no milk is used. It should be added to cooking whenever possible. You can use powdered milk to also supplement that calcium gluconate. Wheat bran is good on cereals and in cooking. Wheat bran, any kind of bran, will help increase their fiber content, make food go through better. Soaked raisins are rich in iron and should especially be used by girls 2 to 3 times a week. And 2 to 3 times per year, make a milkshake. Use skim milk, add homemade ice cream to it, drop in a raw egg with shell, and add half a teaspoon of 3% hydrogen peroxide. Blend it until it is silk-like consistency. That 2 to 3 times a year with the raw eggshell gives them that extra calcium that they need. All kids will benefit from it, but girls especially. Especially if you want to have grandbabies that have very strong, healthy teeth. You need to make sure the girls have their calcium all the way through to puberty and beyond. Variety is the spice of life, and in great variety of foods, there is safety and health. Now, a little note on changing your child's diet. Changing a diet needs to be done slowly, over a period of 6 months to a year. If it's changed too quickly, your kids might rebel, and that is worse than the poor food that they were eating. So to keep peace in the home and to not provoke the children to anger, the changes should be made gradually. Substitute good desserts for candy and homemade ice cream for store-bought. Teach the children the whys and wherefores of why you're changing their diet, and they'll be more likely to cooperate. Most children are ill because their diet is too rich for their body chemistry. They're often constipated and calcium deficient. They seldom drink enough water and rarely have enough variety in the diet. Healthy children are happy children and will usually be better behaved and way more cooperative. The amount of distilled water they drink should be according to their weight, just like the adults. Put the allotted amount of water into a container so they know how much they need to drink, and make sure that they get it all drunk by the end of the day. So to find out how much they should drink, take their body weight, divide it by half, and call it ounces. So if they weigh 80 pounds, they would need to drink 40 ounces of water every day. When all else fails to constipate your child, just feed them peanut butter and cheese. For this reason, these products should be used rarely for children under the age of 8. Eat all raw salads first. Thus, the cellulose will be introduced into the digestion at the beginning of the meal, from which the bowel will extract gelatin. This will help reduce the tendency for constipation. Gelatin made from natural plant gelatin, which has fruit and fruit juices put into it, makes a very good food for children also. It's the lack of minerals, particularly calcium, the lack of sufficient water, the use of junk food, and the eating between meals that lays much of the groundwork for ill health later on. Just remember, as the parent, you're setting up their lifelong health journey. So you have the opportunity to set a very good foundation for the rest of your child's life, and also for your grandchildren, because a healthier child will have a healthier baby. When children get sick with colds and flu, give them plenty of fluids to drink and an enema. Hot foot baths are also good. Soak the feet in as hot of water as the child can stand. This has a reflex effect, increasing the blood flow through the kidneys, helping clear the blood system of toxins. A tablespoon of yellow mustard powder is excellent to add to the hot water to help pull the mucus from the lungs. And that is the general recommendations for children up to 12 years old. The general recommendations for adults are a little different because adults can eat the meat and the peanut butter, and they don't usually have to worry about wetting the bed. So the watermelon before bed isn't such a big deal. And either way, whether it's for adults or for children, there is safety and variety. The most variety you can eat, the most variety of vitamins and minerals you're going to get to make your body the healthy body that it's supposed to be. So eat variety, avoid nuts, nut butters, meats, and meat juices until the child's appropriate age, when their digestion is strong enough to break down the molecules of that food small enough to where the body can utilize it. And if you don't believe me, do a test and see for yourself. And that is it. Drink a lot of water and have happy children.